Welcome back, everyone, to the Shock Absorber podcast, and it is wonderful to have you along with us. And I've got two irregular guests on the podcast today. Jai, welcome back.
Thank you.
It's been a while since you've been on Shock Absorber.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, are you a long time listener for
Long time listener, long time guest? No, I don't know how that works.
Occasional guest.
Occasional guest.
Yeah.
Regular listening, irregular guest.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. I like that. Yeah, friend of the show.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. Speaking of friends of the show, you got a Guzmani Gomez.
I do. We're sponsored. We're sponsored now.
Ethan,
no, we got these for free because on the most recent schoolies that we took people away on for church, we bought so much Guzman for one of the dinners that they just threw like heaps of socks in.
Really?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we spent a lot of money on Guzman.
Like were they on the taco?
They are, interestingly, what they do is the way they packaged them was they wrapped them up in foil like a burrito.
Oh, wow.
It was really fun.
It's
so
like,
there was all these like sock burritos. It was really cool.
Oh, we got extra burritos. Oh no, hang on.
Yep. There was socks.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
But are they good socks or a bit?
Nah, they're great. Super comfy.
You love
fun
a good
colour.
You love a good kind of eccentric
statement sock.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I think we as males, we don't have as much opportunity to have fun with our wardrobe, and so sometimes we need something a bit spicy, like a flash of color or something like that.
What?
And so
A
socks
flash
to do that.
or a splash?
Splash.
Okay.
Even the TV series Bones.
Yes.
Yeah.
The guy who was the detective guy who was from Buffy
Yes.
Buffy. There was a whole thing about him having coloured socks because the rest of it, like he just wore a black suit all the time.
But he always had.
had.
That's fun.
And there was a whole, I can't remember exactly how it went, but there was a whole like episode around that.
I love that. That's awesome.
About his socks.
Yeah, about having coloured socks, and that was his little thing about expressing himself in a way that he could.
Gosh, they must have run out of ideas.
That's
what they were doing.
There was a lot of seasons on that
There
show.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's like at least 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's a wild
It's
show.
like one of those shows where I'm just like, so my wife likes shows like that. And I'm like, no one talks like this. This, like, let me explain to you what's going on. He's got a skull fracture, and that's could be a possible blow to the head and stuff. And I'm like, no one talks like that. They don't talk like that.
Yeah.
It's too unrealistic.
Is
And
that break, you probably got whacked.
and they have to, they have to fit it into like 27 minutes because it used to be on free-to-air TV.
Oh, yeah. With all the ads.
We're going to move this. Yeah, we're going to move the story along by explaining everything.
Yeah.
And everyone's like,
You
whoever came up with that.
You caught me monologuing.
Yeah, whoever came up with that version of writing is quite clever. But
Yeah, true.
also, like,
Definitely.
Yeah.
so unrealistic. I'm just that guy.
Unlike this, we're very realistic.
I'm probably like the guy. I'm probably like the guy that just goes to see a magician and just spoils it all the time. I know how he did it.
The worst.
There's strings.
Yeah, there's a magnet.
They're under she's under the stage.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy. We are talking about Week Away.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you are a relatively new listener to the Shock Absorber, Week Away is when we all go away together as a church. It goes from Friday to Wednesday.
Yep.
We go in the middle weekend of the school holidays.
Yeah.
Of the July school holidays. And it can be upwards of 250 people.
Mm-hmm.
And so we thought we may as well do our regular yearly episode of the Shock Absorber on Week Away.
Yeah.
But why don't we start with some memories? And I think I'm looking at you, Jai. So why don't you go first? Any particular memories from Week Away that you can remember? Because I believe this is where you and your wife got together on Week Away. A long time ago.
We looked, yes, we.
Well, yes.
There was a memory. So we were doing Week Away. We were doing it up at Morisset, and it was the one on the lake with the teepee hut things that we were staying in. Yes, we had our first kiss by the lake there, and then Shane Marshall like threw rocks at us.
That's great.
Yeah. Yes, that was a memory.
Awesome.
Right. Yes.
That's your memory, is it?
That's not my memory, but that is one of many memories.
What's your key memory then? Not that one that I brought up.
Oh, I was thinking when we used to, where we are now at Watersley, we started getting sort of like the builder's plastic and doing like a massive slip and slide down the hill, which then subsequent years changed to various things, and one of them actually involved your grandma.
Yes,
where we had like billy carts. I think Tom Igman might have organised them, and
It's like
we're watching all these.
It was a milk crate on wheels.
That's right. Yeah, it's super safe.
And it's a very big hill.
Very, very big steep hill, and we're all like laughing as we're watching people go down, and then because we're up the top balcony looking down, and so you really couldn't see who was coming next. But then, as people are going down, it's like, oh, this is fun. Then Bev Crawshaw goes flying out, and everyone was laughing up until that point. Then everyone was just like, oh no, we were like, this is where we kill Bev.
We're going to kill
Because
the older
people
lady.
would stack it.
Yeah,
Absolutely stack it.
yeah, and epically. But she made it all the way down, no drama, and she got the biggest cheer of the lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
I don't know if it was like just pure excitement or just pure relief that she survived.
Yeah.
But it was awesome, and she loved every moment of it.
Yeah. My memory was not going to be this, because I think I might have told this at a previous time. It's usually the memory I go to, but I wasn't going to tell this story. But because you brought it up, I remember the reason I remember those so vividly.
Yeah.
Is because I was sitting in one watching everyone, and my brother came up behind
That's
me
right,
and just
yes.
pushed. And so I have this distinct memory of because you held onto the rope, and it would help you go down. But I was just sitting in a milk crate with no control at all, flying down a hill, and I stacked it, and it was the most fun ever. But I was super angry at Eli.
Yeah.
It was great. It was really, really fun.
You weren't very old either.
No, I would have been like maybe at 9, 8.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty wild, but it was fun.
I remember the slip and slide, someone taped themselves up completely.
Oh, it was Chris.
Yes, his name was Chris, and
Is that right? Well, it was like the packing
yeah,
plastic.
yeah, something
Oh.
like
Call
that.
it,
And he was going to do like a mullet down the hill, and he did it, and then like he smashed his face on the ground. I think he had to go to hospital.
He
check
knocked
out
him-
a
he knocked
concussion.
him- yeah.
He knocked himself out.
Yeah. He because he launched himself like a mullet and
Yeah.
landed so hard on his head.
That's amazing.
Not a good move.
Not
No.
a good move at all.
No.
Not a good move at
It
all.
wasn't the first time he'd done something like that, but yeah.
But this was when Week Away was a youth camp, like a senior,
Yeah.
like a young adult community youth camp. Was that
Yeah.
the vibe of what it was
Yeah.
when it was still at Gomie?
Yeah, it would have
Yeah.
been, yeah. Solly's would have been. Well, we had Bev there, so anyway, I think it was.
Maybe it was more church wide at that point.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it was still Solly's, but I think we opened it up to whoever wanted to come.
Yeah,
Really,
great, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like having. Because I think it might have been one of the first few that we had, like Pete and Bev and that there.
Yeah, cool.
When we went to Watersley.
Yeah.
That's when we all fit on the main site
Yeah.
of Watersley.
Yeah.
But now we have people up at Kaluna site.
Yeah.
And then staying off site as well. We have so many
Yeah.
people. And that's the other thing is that people may not realise is that we don't have church during that weekend at all.
It is church down there.
It is church.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was, just before we move on, I suppose, is my memory, one that sticks in my head is, I may have already said this before, but my friend Keegan and I did this stupid show. And we have these opportunities where we do things at night. And we did this show where people would like, it was based off a podcast we were listening to called If I Was You. But it would turn into something like If I Was on Week Away. And
Yep.
people, like, for the last 3 nights or days had been submitting questions into a box. And we just opened the box and answered questions, some of which we could not answer. They were just so offensive. But I remember that. That was a lot of fun because we just...
It was like an advice night.
It's kind of like
Yeah,
advice.
yeah.
Like one of the questions was, what if someone has bad BO in your room?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we went...
What was your answer?
Well, it was a very long answer, but it was basically like set up a wash station for people to come through before they come to breakfast and stuff. But the idea was that we wanted to do it without any preparation.
Yeah.
Right. Like one of those decontamination type.
Yeah.
Wash these,
It
right?
was a bit like that. Anyway, so lots of opportunity for fun with things like that. And
Yep.
we do many other things like that. So I, along with a lot of people, you guys, we organise a trivia night.
Yep.
And there's plenty of other things that happen that are a bit more relaxed.
Yep.
We have a dress-up night.
Yep.
Things like that. So I suppose my opening question for you guys is, actually one question I want to ask before we do that, who do you think's been to the most week aways out of the three of us? I feel like it could be Ethan,
Could be.
even though he's the youngest here.
Yeah.
Because you've probably gone every year.
I've been going every year
Since
for
you've
my
been
whole
born.
life.
Yeah.
So that's
So I reckon that. Yeah, I reckon because we had a couple of years where we weren't there. When we were at
How many
Helensburgh,
would
so,
that
yeah.
be, Heath?
well, I don't. Were they happening when I was born? I don't know. Like,
Yeah, that's a good question.
because if it was from when I was born, it'd be what 26, 27.
I reckon that's got to be close.
Yeah,
at
pretty
least.
close. If it wasn't, like I have memories of you being very little on a week away.
Because I think my first one was in 2004,
Yeah,
and this is 2025. I've missed at least 3
yeah,
or 4.
yeah. Well, we used to
So
because
I'd
we
be
used to
at
go
21.
down to Uluru Farm as well, which is kind of like that was like
was before my time.
90s.
My first one was at
Late
Morisset.
90s.
Yeah.
Well, if it was
So
happening
during
in the
the
late
90s.
90s,
Yeah.
like you might have been going before me.
But I don't know if it was called week. I can't remember if it was called week away then. Anyway,
Yeah, right. It counts.
I mean, the idea was that Shu and Lou, just our senior pastor and his wife Lou,
Yeah.
your parents, Ethan,
Yes.
decided, well, we're just going to go away on holidays and invite everyone to come if they want to come.
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's where it's grown from.
yeah.
So what do you reckon you're probably at at least 25?
At least 25 times.
All right. I reckon I'm about 21. Do you reckon you're close to that, Joy, or not?
Oh, I'm probably in the middle there, maybe.
Oh, wow. That's really funny. The youngest of us has been to the most.
We're in utero.
Yeah.
Oh,
Does that
that's
count?
true. Yeah, you may have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While your mum was pregnant as well.
Yeah, I think what and I've talked to people about this before, but being a kid at Week Away is such a fun experience. Like it's so good, and it's he's better now than it was when I was a kid because I was the only kid for quite a while, and everyone that was there was all the other kids were much younger than me as I got older.
Yeah.
But just the swarms of children now is just beautiful. Like, and there was a whole bunch of girls last year who were not kids. They were in maybe it was a couple of years ago now, in late primary school, early high school, and they would just wander off and they would go hang out by the river and they were building forts in the trees. And it's just like, yeah, actually you can just wander, and where else can you do that these days? Like, just kind of freely explore. And it's a really exciting, fun thing for a kid to be like, oh my goodness, I have all this space and all these friends that are not just my children, the other children.
Yeah.
Like you see really young kids playing board games with people that are much older than them.
Yeah.
Because everyone's going, I'll hang out with you. Like, let's play a game and let's spend time together. And that's a beautiful thing. And I think Week Away has done a lot for relationships for me as I've grown up, not just with people around me, but with people older than me. And I think it still does that. Like, it's really cool for the kids that go.
Yeah, and my kids don't want it to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really upset when it finishes.
Yeah.
And I think there is a certain freedom for the kids too of just, and we'll get into this later about how we kind of structure Week Away, but the ability to have all that freedom is something they don't get at other points in their life, and it's pretty safe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scooters going around.
Well, yes.
But apart from that, it is quite safe.
Yeah.
And they're not really wandering off anywhere that's unsafe.
Yeah. It's safer than it, like, I don't know. I remember bombing the hills on my scooter.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not what the kids are allowed to do now.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's yes. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So here's the question, and Joy, I'll direct it to you first. And some people that might ask this: why the whole week? Or it's 5 days, but why go the whole week from Friday to Wednesday rather than just do the weekend? What's your answer?
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, moving on.
Why not?
Let's move on.
No, it's I've been involved in churches where we've gone away for the weekend. It's very different vibe when you go away for a weekend, because you feel like, I've got to get as much into this weekend as we possibly can, and you jam pack stuff in. When you go away for a week, like we do talks and we sing and we have like our discussion groups, all those sorts of things, but we have so much more free time. So we have this opportunity to actually not spend so much time trying to get stuff done, but actually spend more time doing stuff together. And so I think doing it for those 5 days just means that we just get to do life together. We just get to hang out, relax, and play board games, go for walks,
Sit and chat.
There's a whole bunch of stuff you get to do because we're not in a rush. And it is like going away on a holiday together, which is, we were saying like that's the way that it started and the way that it's continued is we're just going away together as friends. I think that's when you go away as friends, you don't want to all right, every second is, I'm sure there are some people actually, I'm not like this, but I'm sure there are a lot of people who's like, I need to know what we're doing every second of every day. But just going away just means for a week, we're not stuck in that kind of thing where you just do stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a lot about that relationships. So I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, same kind of deal. I think the only thing I'd add is that 5 days is a genuine sacrifice.
Yeah.
But it's also a genuine. I'm trying to get to the next word, but I'm trying to find the word in between. But the next word is that we're on holidays together. Like it's not just I'm going away on the church camp that I've got to go to.
Yeah.
But it's actually I'm going on a holiday with my family and with my friends.
Yeah.
And that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I think I'm sure that same experience can be felt over a weekend, but it is really turned up to 11 by going for the whole 5 days.
Yeah.
In that I, particularly since heaps of people give up annual leave and that's a really amazing sacrifice, and people bring their whole families, and it's just this beautiful thing of like, actually we're all doing this together, and we're on holiday together, and that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, and as someone who hasn't got a lot of extended family, it's for my kids, it's that opportunity to go away with other families to do that kind of thing, which is super helpful. Plus, also just to add in what you're saying, not only are we going away with friends, but over 5 days you actually get opportunity to meet more friends.
Totally.
Right. Like if you're doing it on a weekend, because there's so much going on, there's not time to make new connections, or it's very limited. Over 5 days, you come for 5 days, you're talking to somebody new, and with the way our church is set up, where we've got all these different gatherings, even though we're one church, it gives you opportunity to talk and meet with people who go to different gatherings that you may not get to speak to.
Yeah. And even at your gathering.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I remember one of my fondest memories is across the river there's this beautiful national park, and quite a few years ago it was on fire because there was backburning being done, and it was just really beautiful actually at night to watch this fire over the water of the horizon. And I remember it was the first year I wasn't in a family room, and I was put in a room with a whole bunch of dudes, and one of them was Braden, and I reckon I'd barely talked to Braden over the years, and we became really good friends. And I have a distinct memory of sitting at 3 a.m. At Kaluna, overlooking Watersley and overlooking this horizon that was on fire, and we're just chatting and hanging out at 3 a.m, watching the world burn. It was lovely.
Friendships really forged in the fire.
That's it. I just thought that's a memory I have of, and then I have heaps more memories of meeting and hanging out with people that I don't usually get to hang out with.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just a cool example.
Yeah. Well, you had could I ask you a question?
Yes, please do.
Your experience of your first week away.
Yeah.
Because that was very informative.
Well, very, very, very formative for me, because we went at it was a similar time when a lot of us were going to, it would have been Solies at the time, wasn't it? That's what it was called when we were at Guymer Anglican. And my group of friends at school had made the decision they didn't really want to be, I can't remember exactly when, but around that time. And so I came to week away with 3 other people, Karen, who was my girlfriend, is now my wife, and Michael and Heather, and we all came up together in the same car. I remember that too. And we're like, we don't know what's going on. And I remember because I think at that time it was actually Monday to Friday.
Could have been.
It was something like that, because it wasn't across the weekend. It was actually...
Because it wasn't down at Watersley, it was up...
Yeah, it was Morisset. Yeah. That was the only time we went to Morisset, for me anyway. And we're meant to be studying for our HSC, so we did a little bit, but it was the friendships that were formed at week away. I was like, like the year above me made such an effort to actually just be hanging out with me. And I think that's really formative for me. Even the Bible studies that we were doing, in particular with Matt Redmond, who was running those, were really, really helpful for me solidifying my faith as a Christian. But also, those friendships made such a difference to me. Like with my school friends going, no, we don't really want to spend time with you outside of school to a degree. And then these other people saying, no, we love you and we want to hang out with you for ages. And you'd spent so much time investing in me, Jai, prior to that at youth as well. But the love that I felt was like, oh, this is what I've been looking for a long time, which was really, really special to get that at a week away. And I think it speaks to a lot of the things that you're saying about how the extended time and proximity allows either new relationships to form or relationships that you already have to deepen.
Yep.
I remember when it must have been maybe, it was before COVID, so it might have been 2018, 2019. We sat down with a group of people at lunch and we sat at the same table with almost all the same people and talked all the way until dinner time. So that's got to be 4.5 hours, 5 hours. We all just sat there talking about such a wide range of things, like someone had traveled to Vietnam, so we were talking about that and the Vietnam War and then all the travel and all this kind of stuff. And it was just, that forms a relationship with the people that you have, those people that I have now. And I don't even see them that often, but every time we see each other, and even when we see each other, we go, remember that time that we sat down around this rickety table that is set up and we didn't stand up unless we needed to go to the toilet, basically, for that many hours. And I think that is the beauty of the two examples there are the beauty of what Week Away is that we're spending time together as Christians and living out the unity that Jesus has won for us by going on holiday together.
Yeah.
And I think that's my favourite thing about Week Away. And I got to experience my first one, 2004, and I've got to experience every Week Away that I've gone to since then. So as a lead into the next question is like, we were to talk about how we kind of structure it. So I'll let you go first, Jai, again, but what's the intentional structure that we have? Because we basically do church every single day that we're there, but there's also this huge amount of free time because we're on holidays. Do you want to speak to that a little bit more and how that plays out?
Yeah. So, I think as you said, like we go away as Christians in the victory that Christ has won for us. And so we want to remind ourselves of that while we're away. And so, doing basically, I guess, a church service each morning is really key to that because we spend some time singing and we sit under, and it's a great opportunity too to hear. So we're getting a guest speaker, so we hear a different voice speak into our community, which is always fun and exciting. But what we also do in there is, like, I think the interviews that we do with people are really helpful because we get some people up from different gatherings or whatever else, so people get to know what's going on across those things, but also get to know some other people. And then we spend some time in discussion groups afterwards, so we get to reflect on what we've just learnt and encourage each other in that, which is always, in terms of learning and growing, reflecting on those things is always really helpful. And then basically from lunchtime onwards, it's just free time. And one of the great things we have down there is we've got a whiteboard, and it's just like, if you're doing anything, if you're going to go do a berry run or you're going to go get coffee at Hop Hop or wherever it is, write on the board when you're going, and basically everything's an open invite, which I think is really awesome. It's just a way of going, I'm going to do this if anybody wants to come, meet here at this time, and we'll work it out from there. But if you don't want to, there's no pressure either. You can just hang around. And what's also, I think, really cool in that is that there are some people who are really extroverted, right? And we love hanging out with people and we want to spend that time with people. But there's some people who just need a little bit of break and just need some quiet space, and having that free time gives that opportunity to do that without cutting into something else. And it means they can go to their room or go for a walk or whatever it is, have that little bit of disconnect time and then come back. And, the people around, we're just chilling. And then, at night we'll do trivia or band night or some sort of fun dress up with, whatever else. But it's not really, those things are not kind of like the thing that we're doing. It's more of here's just something we can do as we hang out and kind of facilitate some of that fun. So I like it because it's just very fluid. Like there's a bit of structure in the morning, but the rest of it's very easygoing. So
Oh, totally.
kind of the general vibe.
Yeah. I think the only thing to add to that is that I had a conversation just the other day with someone who was really anxious about coming to Week Away. And one of the things that I was able to talk to is that because it's not organized down to the minute,
Yeah.
you actually have heaps of freedom to sit in your room,
Yeah.
go for a walk, have a read of something. Like you also have freedom to sit and talk for 4 hours on the same table.
100%, yeah.
And that's something that I'm sure happens at lots of camps, but you don't necessarily have, like the way this is set up is so that you can have freedom
Yeah.
to do stuff like that. And it actually is I think sometimes, often people, particularly anxious people, may feel like they need the structure.
Yeah.
And I understand that.
Yeah,
I do get that. But at the same time, I also think that there is something really de-anxietying. What's the word for that? Unanxietying.
Let's just make words up.
Yeah. About something about that is something about that freedom that actually is able to, to enable people to do what they feel comfortable doing.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. I think I described it once to someone as like we spend less time being talked at and more time talking with each other.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I think that's the kind of general vibe we go with.
But I want to talk about the being talked at because we do, like you said, we do 5 Bible talks across the mornings. Oh,
Yep.
sorry, Friday evening.
Yep.
But the rest of the mornings.
Yeah.
And we get guest speakers in, and I think like we use this podcast to talk about the memories of Week Away at the moment too. I remember one on by Peter Bolt who did it on spiritual warfare. That was excellent. It's just so educational.
Yeah.
And so it's the same with a lot of the other talks. Anthony Douglas last year, he did. What did he do? I'm trying to remember what it was.
Live Free is the merch.
There's free will stuff.
Free will
Free
stuff.
will.
Yeah.
It was on free will.
Yeah.
And things related to that. The one before that was Revelations that Mike Dicker did.
Yeah.
But there's just...
which people are still talking about stuff they learnt from as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. But that's the point, is that it's also an opportunity to really grow in our faith and to sit down and study a particular topic or a particular book in the Bible and to get... I like it as a kind of circuit breaker to the rest of my life, which is rather busy, that we take these 5 days out and then I'm also studying the Bible by myself, like listening to the talks, and then also with each other in the discussion groups afterwards.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like you guys to speak to that a little bit of like how has Week Away contributed to your growth as a Christian? Ethan first this time.
Yeah, I think what something that it has done over the years is given me more opportunities just to sit in conversation with people about the Bible. Like, I think because we set up our whole morning in particular around talking about God's word, and it actually really beautifully leads into chats later. And I just have had countless opportunities just to sit at lunch or sit around a board game or all sorts of different, or just sitting on some couches and chatting and actually turning really regularly to what we learned that morning or what questions we had and that's been really beautiful. I run the youth boys Bible study and one of the things we do is we go for a walk as we do Bible study.
Find a wombat hole.
And we find a wombat hole and we sit around a wombat hole. And it's just been really lovely as a separate example. So that first one was something I've grown a lot in. And another one was it's been really beautiful to have these talks that can both be really intense and beautiful and excellent for adults, be also really intense, and the young guys get heaps out of it as well. And that's been really cool to watch and be a part of. And I, as a teenager, got heaps out of it and am getting even more out of it as I grow up and do it with them. It's been really cool.
Yeah, it's it's a great indication of how applicable God's word is, regardless of your age.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And anything that's taught you, Joy?
Yeah, similar thing. Like the conversations that come out of the talks, not just in the discussion groups, but throughout the day, the week, it's always very encouraging. And just, I think too, having those times where we talk about, so in discussion groups, after we've had the talks, and hearing how what has been shared from God's word, people are wrestling with and thinking about how it applies to their lives, and hearing the different contexts of people's lives and struggles and things like that. I learn a great deal, not just about the people, but also how then to apply some of that stuff in my own life. My situation might be different.
Yeah.
It's that learning from each other, and that's not taking anything away from the talks, because the talks are always fantastic and amazing, and super insightful, and always, like, as someone who preaches quite regularly, it's nice sometimes to just sit and listen to someone else.
Yeah, it would be.
And sit under someone else's teaching, and so that's always, and especially we get people in who spend a lot of time thinking about a particular topic or even just the stuff they're talking about. More than just the week before the preaching, So you talk about Peter Bolt, a lot of that stuff that he spoke about, he's written a book on, and so having all that insight into an area that would take many of us, a long time to get our heads around, to have him sort of decipher that and share that in real tangible ways.
Yeah.
Dick is saying, Anthony last year, like, they're all really. That's super helpful.
Do you think it builds like what we're hearing and listening to as God speaking to us through the person who's doing the talks? Do you feel like it kind of builds momentum throughout the week? Like as you stack those talks on top of each other, and they're obviously doing this intentionally, right?
Yeah.
Because it's set out in a certain way. But I feel like the Friday night you hear, oh yeah, that sounds interesting, we're going to talk about it. And like by the time you get to Tuesday, for example, the people that have been there the whole time and we've been talking about the same thing over and over, there's this just, maybe it speaks to what we're saying about God's word. It speaks to this, like the depth of God's word as well, which means that we can have deeper relationships too. But I just feel like there is this, and I think I've only noticed in the last couple of years, maybe because I'm leading groups more often, but how you can kind of call back to what we're talking about, but then it like references back to the talk we were talking about that day.
Yeah.
But then as a result, you can see, I think it has given me a greater appreciation for God's word.
It's great.
Rather than maybe I had more of a superficial understanding of it, that you could just get a chapter and this person unpacks it for us. But then we can apply it to each other's lives and talk about it. I had some amazing discussions last year with one person in particular who was really grappling with becoming a Christian later in life and what that meant for her. And it was I loved it because it was like, this is what I wanted. Like, I got this a week away, and now I'm able to do this for someone else a week away because we have this freedom in terms of time to do it, but then also to delve into the word deeper than perhaps you're saying on a sermon that week.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that, guys? Because I think there's a lot of truth there, and I've gained a greater appreciation for that.
I do love the moments that sometimes in those discussion groups where you'll be chatting something from maybe the Saturday or the Sunday, and then on the Tuesday, in the talk there'll be something that relates to that, and someone will come to the discussion group going, they just talked about, remember we were talking about the other day about, so this is, which is amazing because it means that people are listening, engaging, and it's helpful. Yeah, it's just the discussions that flow out of the talks and the excitement about sharing those things is really, I don't know, I always find it super encouraging. Yeah.
And some people are down, some people are up because of it.
Yeah.
But it's this great equaliser to be able to spend time with each other. Sorry, Ethan, if you want to contribute something.
Oh, the only thing I'd add is that it's just a great way to start the day.
Yeah.
Like with a whole church service every morning.
Yeah.
It really centres you in God's word in a really beautiful way for the whole week. Yeah. And it does. It helps you have a deeper understanding and not only does that deeper understanding, not only is that good for your brain, like, because it's just head knowledge stuff, but it also is really good for your heart as you actually just really yeah, there's something about starting in God's word that really impacts you for the rest of the day in a really beautiful way. And as you were saying, it builds on top of each other in a really cool way.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That and the copious amount of coffee that's consumed the further you go in there.
Yes.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Are you a coffee drinker?
I'm not a coffee drinker.
I'm not
but
a
I have other caffeines.
None of us drink coffee.
No, but I do notice the caffeine intake does increase as the week goes.
Yes, it does.
Because we bring a caravan down.
We do.
And we make coffees out of that in the morning so people enjoy it as well.
Which we started last year.
Yeah.
Because the beer brewer used to do it for us.
Yeah, but he's moved on now. He's not doing
I think
coffee
he
anymore.
sold the business or something.
Yeah. Anyway, congrats to him.
Yeah. He's a wonderful guy.
Yes, he is. Ian. Shout out to Ian Talks. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
The only question I had, I suppose, is see if you can help me solve a problem for me. And this is something I've grappled with a little bit with Week Away. I think we've spoken before, whether it's on Chip Lunch or this podcast, both Ethan and I are very much, we get our energy from spending time with people. So sometimes after lunch, a week away, I feel rather anxious because I'm like, I want to get heaps out of spending time with people. It might be a bit of a selfish thing.
Yeah.
But like, maybe after lunch, like I'll go back and put my books in my room or something, you know, my Bible and stuff, and then I'll come back and then like people have gone. I'm like, what do I do? Who do I go and talk to?
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of like a desire and expectation on myself to spend time with people, but then a lot of people have like gone their separate ways, and then other people are having a conversation. I maybe don't want to interrupt them, but they're probably open to me interrupting them, and I just get like I'm almost like spoiled by choice of what to do.
Yeah.
There are people that feel like a little bit, oh my gosh, 5 days, like you were saying before, Ethan. What advice do you have for me in terms of a person who's like, there's so much to do and I don't know what to do?
Yeah. It's the age-old week away conundrum, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, there's this freedom, and so in that freedom, there's a bit of relaxation and enjoyment and whatever else, but everybody's free to do things.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I want to do all those things. And I don't want to miss out on any of those things.
And there's a FOMO coming if you don't do
100%.
nothing. What do I choose?
Yeah. Will I choose the right one? Is this really what I want to be doing? What if I get halfway through this and I wanted to go somewhere else? 100%. I think I struggle with that as well. I'm just like, sometimes I'll enter into something and I'm only half committed to it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I might bail on this at some point and do something else.
How long is this board game going to take?
I'm not a board game person, so
I'm not massively either.
So when people are playing board games, that I find that a bit of a struggle because I don't want to play the board game, but I want to hang out with people. Yeah, and so I end up just becoming a nuisance, which is I'm really good at, but years of training. But yeah, I think in that like. I don't know what I was going to say now, but I think your question of the coming back and people are doing different things and I think sometimes you just, I don't know, the person near the group, whatever's happening nearest to you, just jump into that. Yeah. And I think, like you say, like people are willing to be interrupted. I think people are okay too if you tap out. Yeah. If you go, actually, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something else. And I think that's part of the freedom. So I think knowing that you're free to tap in and tap out, I think that can be helpful. But I do struggle with that too. Yeah. So,
Ethan, do you get spoilt for choice?
Yeah, all the time. I think something that I don't have any advice for you, Joel, but I think if someone was to do something that now Joel is spoiled for choice because there's all these things, I would encourage that person to bring Joel with them. Like always be willing to get people and go, let's go do this thing. With Joel. Like let's open this so that
Joel can come.
Yeah. With the knowledge that if Joel doesn't want to come, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think, like particularly since you just tapped out to go put your Bible away and suddenly everyone's gone. Yeah. Like I think there's something beautiful about letting everyone know what you're doing and where you're going. And I don't know how much that actually helps your question, but I think there's something really special about the inclusivity of Week Away and the encouragement of not just going away and having our little, like I think it's really easy to be little groups at church, And I think Week Away is a really good circuit breaker to be able to go, hey, actually, this is my group. All these people.
Yeah.
And so how do we invite all these people to do the thing we're doing? Now, this doesn't help you at all because I'm just saying give him more options. But I think that's still really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're going a week away, please call 1-800 include Joel.
Include Joel.
Yeah. His
Imagine
phone
if that number
will be here.
worked.
That would be crazy.
That would be
Imagine
pretty
that.
cool. It just goes to my
So
number.
when Joel goes to his room to put his Bible away, just give him a call.
Yeah.
1-800 include Joel.
I think the other thing that, like, I do love reading, and I think I'm going to try and just say, I can just go and read for a little bit
Yeah.
on my own.
Yep.
And that be okay with that.
Yeah.
And not be worried about missing
Yeah.
something.
I've seen people go and do some like painting or drawing, and
Yep.
sometimes people too want to do some more time reflecting personally on the talks.
That's
And
a
you
good
see
one.
people just, a patch of grass in a bit of sun doing that, which is really cool too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Well, okay.
It's too long a phone number.
Oh, right.
Oh, is it? Does it fit?
That doesn't fit.
That's
No.
unfortunate. I think the last thing we can kind of wrap it up is that in the last couple of years we've started doing, I don't want to call it merch. We started
Apparel.
doing things like apparel,
Apparel.
to
Apparel.
kind of celebrate each individual week aways. Ethan and I are wearing one from a couple of years ago where it was Creation Made New.
Mm-hmm. It's from the Revelation
For the
series.
Revelation series. And you've got the one before that year, I think.
Yeah, I didn't
right?
get the memo. I got the wrong one.
Which is, I think that's Peter Haywood spoke on
Yeah.
that series on Luke.
Yeah.
I think that's what he did.
Yeah.
And so I'd be interested in what your thoughts are. I kind of lead this project, but lots of other people are part of it. This year, our talk series are by Lee Murray, who has been a member of our church, was a member of our church life, but him and his family have gone to plant a church up in the Gold Coast,
Yep.
which is amazing. But he's coming to do the talk series this year. And it's on sanctification. So we have a kind of theme of hearts made holy
Yep.
for this one. So it's quite different to what we've done before. But the intention of it is, we've talked about memories a lot on Week Away in this particular podcast, is to kind of commemorate that year's Week Away. So this year's 2025 Week Away is that let's celebrate what we laughed about, cried about, build greater relationships with God, with our friends, created new relationships. Like, what does that jumper represent of what you did at Week Away that year?
Yeah.
I suppose that's me talking about a project that I run. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that we should keep doing it? Or is it a bit, you have to be careful, I think, sometimes too, with this kind of church merch idea. But I'm interested in your thoughts on it. And then if anyone's interested, you can check it out at sorrowrivalchurch.com/shop. You'll be too late to order it this year if anyone orders it. But what are your thoughts on the apparel, guys?
I did my uni degree was a communications degree, and there was a lot of fluff in that, but there was some really good stuff.
There's a lot of fluff on the inside of this.
One of my subjects was just go make board games, which was just wild.
That's crazy.
Board games.
It was very Week Away centric. It was great.
Wow.
I actually said to my tutor, "Hey, actually, can I?" It was on a Friday, so I wanted to be here and do stuff with the staff team and stuff. So I had and I said to my tutor, I'm like, "Hey man, like, do I have to be here?" And he's like, "Yeah," but I'm like, "Oh, but like I know most of the board games you've put out back to front, and I'm playing with all these people who don't know what they're doing, because I play board games regularly. Can I just not come?" And he was like, "Yeah, okay."
Wow.
So yeah,
It pays to play board games.
it does.
Yeah.
But that was Week Away got me out of that subject.
Thank you, Week Away.
The reason I brought up my degree though is because one of the things we talked about was semiotics, and which is the science of signs. And I am really passionate about apparel or things because what it does is creates little semiotics, little signs that people get connected to, and that not only connect people but also show others that these people are connected. I think in the same way that, like, I'm all for if I follow a club, I'm going to, like a sporting club, I'm going to buy the merch because I want to be able to not only support them, but it's not really that. It's actually show others that this is what I love.
Yeah.
And what we're just trying to do is give people an opportunity to show what they love. yeah, that does two things. That connects them to the outside and goes, hey, look at this thing. I remember walking into the Brick Pit Cafe in Kirrawee a couple of years ago, and I was wearing my Soul Revival jumper, the one that was just Soul Revival. It wasn't a week away one.
Yep.
And this guy was like, hey, I was about to call him a barkeep.
Barista.
The barista was like, hey man, like, what is this brand that everyone's wearing? And I was like, oh, actually, it's just a jumper we've all got at church. And so many people were coming into that cafe and wearing that people were like, what is going on? That's really weird. And it was really cool. So it helped that it was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there is an impact for starters. And the second one is that, yeah, it brings us together. I think there's a really cool moment where I'm like, oh, not only do I have that jumper, I was there at that thing.
Yeah.
And that thing was important to us and bonds us. And I think that's a really beautiful, important thing to do. I had one other thing to say, but I can't remember. So I'm going to throw it to Joe.
I suppose like being in winter makes it easier for us to do
does
jumpers,
help.
which we always do.
Yeah. Oh, and I think too, like in terms of a sensory thing, you know, like smells and sights kind of like remind you of memories.
Yep.
When, you know, you go, oh, yeah, this was from, you know, the jumper you guys were wearing when we did Revelation. And all of a sudden you start thinking about, oh, that was the year that we did this. And it kind of sparks memories. And so it's a way of not just connecting us with each other, but connecting us with memories that we all share, and serves as a vehicle to share those memories again. So I think that visual sort of stimulant to share and talk about previous things and shared memories it's a really helpful vehicle for that.
Yeah, I think that's the idea that we want to try and achieve with that.
Yeah.
And also is, again, kind of like celebrating that unity thing that we had, but it was that particular year.
Yeah.
Because this will be the 4th year we've done it. So this year we've done jumpers, long sleeve shirts and hats, which is, I think we've got our biggest order so far, which is if you include the jumpers and the long sleeve shirts, I think we've had 88 separate orders or 88 garments to be ordered, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to, we like to try and package them in a certain way too. So we usually present it on the Saturday morning, just before lunch. We'll hand them out and give it to everyone that's ordered one, which is, I think that's a special thing to do as well. And everyone puts it on at the same time a lot of the time. Yeah. And last year, interestingly, people that hadn't bought them, we sold the most down there that we ever have.
Yeah, right.
When people saw other people wearing it, which is, I mean, that's a really exciting thing to do too. So now I'm ordering extras. Yeah. So hopefully the same thing happens. Otherwise, we'll order too many.
But sometimes that works, isn't it? Like when you actually see it
FOMO.
physically, and other people wearing it. I think too, we buy so much other stuff that's got other people's logos and, you know, stuff on it. But actually have stuff that's Christian on it, like, you know, creation made new. Someone reads that and goes, what does that mean? Is that
I had someone.
What brand's that?
I had someone in a fish and chip shop in the northern suburbs of Sydney go, I really like that. What it says on your jumper. Like, okay. And then we didn't really get any further. But
they can be conversation starters that could turn into some evangelistic opportunities. All those sorts of things are really helpful as well.
Yeah. It also speaks to something that Stu's talked about from Andy Crouch's work about creating Christian culture.
Yes.
Rather than just consuming it or critiquing it, et cetera, et cetera. We're actually creating our own part of the culture, but influenced by our theology first.
Yeah.
Rather than let's do something that just looks cool and that's it. It's actually representing something about our church and our culture and what Jesus has done for us, which is what I think it might be my favourite part about actually doing it. Do you want to add something?
Oh, you brought up Stu and something that I have been in very many meetings, like youth meetings with him, and he wasn't a part of the youth team while I was in youth or as a youth leader, but he would often pop in. And he would say a few words, and the words were T-shirts, stickers, and dance parties. It's like, make sure they're all on the program.
That's how you grow youth ministry.
It's like, have you done stickers, T-shirts, and dance parties? and so I've had years of like, that's how you grow youth. That's how you grow a youth group.
Yeah. We need stickers, Joel.
Stickers, dance parties, and and t-shirts. And I think part of that is him being silly, but part of that is him being like, actually, all this stuff that we're talking about now is actually really helpful for ownership. Like there's something about putting a sticker on a drink bottle, like, and being like, this is who I am. This is what I care about.
Your pencil case,
laptop,
yeah. Like if you look at someone who puts, like, you might not be someone who puts stickers on things, but if you look at someone who puts stickers on things, they put the stickers they choose are things they like.
Yep.
And so at the very least, it's giving an opportunity for people to express what they like. And be reminded that this is an important thing in amongst all of their other interests. And actually, that when having a conversation, like, this is actually the most important of my interests. Like, that is a really helpful thing. And it doesn't always lead to evangelistic conversations, like, and that's okay. I think there's also, the only other thing I'd say is that there's freedom to not buy it.
Yes,
100%.
Which is really cool. I think all of this stuff is really true, but it's not like what's the U2 album that got downloaded onto everyone's iPhones
when it turned into Apple Music.
When it turned into Apple Music, and it wasn't like, and everyone got cross. And I was like, oh, who cares? But
it's a free album.
There's a free album, like whatever. But it's not like we're going, oh, you're here. You bought a ticket to Week Away or whatever. You get a shirt. Or you get a whatever, and that could be cool. But actually, no, it's an intentional purchase. To go, oh, I actually want this, and I want to wear this, and I want to. I think that's a really cool choice. Rather than, I don't know, for lack of a better word, forcing it on people.
And you're right. Like, you don't have to buy it.
No.
And it's like, if you don't buy it, that's fine. There's no pressure. It's so cool.
Songs of Innocence, the album was called.
Songs of
Back
Innocence.
in 2014, Apple Music made the bold move to team up with U2 to offer their 13th studio album as a free download. So they gave it to them for free. But
you could just not listen to it.
True.
That was the thing I couldn't.
But people got it. I said, why is this on here?
But
that's a different era of music consumption, I would say.
It is.
When iTunes was more about I buy the music and I get it on. Where streaming has changed that. Well, this has been fun, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking a trip down memory lane. I'm sure that we'll have time to make many more memories together.
Oh, heaps.
This year, in a couple of weeks. We
Yeah.
go a week away.
Yeah, not long.
Not long. If you have any questions or thoughts, you can email me at joel@shockersorba.com.au or comment on our YouTube channel.
Or call 1-800-INCLUDE-JOEL.
Well, you could try that. I don't think it'll work.
It's a long
As Ethan
number.
said, it's too long.
1-800-462-583-35635.
There you go. No, I don't think that number will work, guys, just so you know. But you could try it anyway.
Oh, it's not connected.
Check the number and try again.
There you go.
That's what a
Try
shame.
again, guys.
What a
Just
shame.
try again.
Keep trying to include Joel.
Keep trying to include me.
again.
That's right. But thank you everyone for listening and watching, and we'll see you next week with another episode. Ethan, thank you very much.
A pleasure.
Joy, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And as usual, we'll finish with a one way.
One way.